everybody. It's Safi and Marco, dish out on the movies, and today we are reviewing Saw 3. Oh joy. And it's very violent, and
what's it about?
Everybody just loses, and there's nothing positive about it.
But what's it about, though? Like, it's about...
Well, let me say, who's back? Well, they do show a couple of characters from previous movies, not a really long time, but like what happens to them. And then the Adam guy from the very first episode where the doctors left him.
What's the movie about?
The movie's about Saw, again, a killer who has to... He is really close to his death time. He is going to have what is wrong with him, which I don't never know if it was ever explained, but he has an inoperable brain tumor. And so he's dying of that. And then the girl who was the drug addict, it was already established. She's his helper. And I guess, I don't know, in the last movie she said she was taking over.
Yeah, she was supposed to.
But really, he was still, no matter how sick he was still in control. And because I don't think he trusted her because he said she was too emotional.
You're jumping to the end of the movie again.
No, I'm just saying. That's
what you do. Every review, you just jump to the end.
Well, she's too emotional.
So are you.
No, I'm not. Anyway.
You are. So I'm going to explain what the movie's about.
I'll let Marco explain because he does it in a much more succinct manner.
I do it in a way. So Saw 3 is about a man. And he lost his son. And Jigsaw said, "Really? You're a bad man. You're going to be put in the ultimate, Saw video game experience where you have to advance from one stage to the next, taking on these tests, and then at the end, when you think it's all over, you're going to have to take another test. And if you fail that one, you're screwed because you lost your son. And then at the end, you're going to lose your daughter and your wife too. So, suck on that, loser. I'm Jigsaw, and I'm apparently the good guy to people."
Yeah, really.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that are like, "I really agree with Jigsaw," and it's for
heaven's sake.
That's retarded. Like, especially after this movie, where, basically the whole movie, that's kind of like half of why this movie is so bad is because all the other Saw movies, for the most part, they make Jigsaw look like he's 60% wrong and 40% right. And in this movie, it's like 90% wrong, 10% right.
Right? I don't know the 10% right.
The 10% where he's telling Amanda to let the wife go and take off the collar over and over and over again. That was the... And also, not killing the other people because they reveal through flashbacks that she killed Adam. And
the police person,
she killed that badass police guy, which I forgot all about the stupid twist with him where, this movie basically should have been about him. I mean, it should have been a story about him escaping and playing her game, but instead he becomes a badass and he tries to escape, and then he almost beats her to death, and then she kills him because she's
not good.
She's a bad person, and that's another reason. There's so many reasons to hate this movie.
There's just nothing redeeming about it.
The one thing that's the things that are redeeming are ideas, because to me the idea that Jigsaw was testing Amanda the whole time, that's a cool concept if this was the 6th movie in the series and not the 4th one. I mean, not the 3rd one, because we literally just found out that she's working with him. And then the very next movie, I mean, this feels kind of like when they made that Man of Steel, and then the next movie was Batman v Superman.
God.
It was like jumping the gun like that, like doing too much too early.
Yeah, I'm not settling in. I know.
Yeah. Because did you expect this movie, like, for this stuff to happen, like,
No.
right after that second one where she's, like, the new Jigsaw with him? Like, no.
No, I didn't expect it to be the way it was at all.
So it was totally, like, a huge letdown. Like, a huge letdown.
I don't know. I was confused about... They snatched a doctor. And I was confused why they snatched that particular doctor. Except that...
Because she's the best, apparently.
Oh.
And the reason why they have her is because she's got to keep him Jigsaw alive until the loser who sat over his dead son, like that makes him a bad person to Jigsaw.
And that's not right.
He's got to go through his thing, and
several tests.
while he does that, she has to keep him alive. And I thought, that was kind of a cool concept if this was like the 6th movie in the series and not the 3rd movie. But it's like right after that second one, where the ending of the second one was Jigsaw laughing in the car, like fully, he's not on his deathbed like in this movie at the beginning. He was like fully alert, even though he got beat up by the cop, and he's sitting there laughing like a badass, and then they do this.
Well, we don't how. Well, I guess it's not really that much later, is it? Because the cop is still, like, it hasn't been weeks and weeks and weeks.
It jumps around, and what the funny thing is that, with this new Saw movie, Saw X, that movie's going to be taking place in between the 2nd and 3rd one. Why?
What?
Why? Because
they didn't do what they were supposed to?
Yeah, because it's clear that, the 3rd movie should not have been what this was. This should have been like the 6th or 7th movie, where it's like, okay, we're at the end of the line now. Not the 3rd one. And I tried to like this movie once back then, and I hated it back when I was a kid. And just watching it again now, I hate it even more.
Yeah.
Like, there's just nothing about it that is good. It is just so bad. It is so...
evil.
Like,
cruel.
Well, just everything about it. Like, there isn't... Like, everything about this movie is just irredeemable to me. Like, unless there's, like, 5 others, and this is, like, the last one. And they want to pull out all the stops. And because there's a lot of reasons, too. Like, we can really go through it, because it's bad. It's really bad. Right, Safi?
Yeah, well, he goes through these several tests, and when you say several tests, you're talking about his son was hit by was it a hit and run or just hit and killed? I don't know if it's hit and run, but
he was riding a tricycle in the middle of the street, and he got ran over.
Oh.
By a distracted driver.
And so you had all these figures in the case. So you would have the judge who tried the case, and then you had the perpetrator, the person who did it.
Well, yeah, we'll go through each trap now with the people and everything. So the first one involved a woman.
Oh,
and
that's right, a witness.
She was naked.
Yeah.
Right, Safi?
Yep.
Did you like that part?
That was terrible.
Was that your favorite part of the movie?
No, and nothing was my favorite part of any movie.
Why not?
Because I told you I don't like that kind of crap. I really don't. When I
think you do.
There's no nothing good comes from it. Nothing.
Well, the one good thing is the ending credits when those come.
He saved one of the people. I won't say which because Marco's going to go through each one. And then a trap happened, but they were already aware of it. And it hit the person he had just saved. And I don't think that was wrong. I don't think that was meant to be.
It wasn't.
And
it was
bad.
it was almost like these traps again. We talked about with the first movie how there were so many variables that they really didn't go through very well. In this movie, it was just like they didn't care. Like, Jigsaw did not care because, he's on his deathbed, whatever. And so, to me, like, that kind of shows, like, a huge weakness in the writing because you can sense that, like, the writers are like, you know what, we don't care. Let's,
make them not care.
Let's just do whatever we want. Make it really crazy and insane and not really care about, like, the logistics because with the first one, there's a lot of plot conveniences in this movie, too. Like, with the first one, the guy, and isn't the main guy, get over here, Safi, you're like,
I'm listening to what you're saying.
You're hiding.
No, I'm not hiding. I have to stand while Marco sits and plays a game while he does the review.
You could get a chair. Well, I'm playing a game for fun.
Oh, okay.
Well, but the guy, isn't this main guy the loser, I guess? Isn't he, like, the most, like, uncharismatic person you've ever seen? Like, he's just so, like...
Well, you look at his picture and you don't think that.
He's just like a guy. He's just like a shell of a person.
There's no character to him, except that he misses his son and he mourns for him all the time. And his daughter had one of his stuffed animals because they saved everything in his room. And she has one of his stuffed animals, and she took it to sleep with her, and he took it away from her, and said that she was not allowed to take anything out of his room. Well, my God, don't you think that what happened affected her too? Hey. You have to let him out. He was starting to play with the outlet. Can't do that.
The thing is that this guy, I don't know if it's just his good acting or what, but he's just so uncharismatic and he's just so unlikable, and it's a huge change from the last movie, where Amanda and then the kid, I really liked them and I really wanted them to survive.
Yeah. And
this guy, nothing bad. He was not a bad person, but it's just that he's just so, like, blah. He's just like a guy.
Well, it's like he's functioning under a heavy blanket.
Yeah, well, isn't he in, like, a bathrobe the whole movie?
No, I don't think so.
To me, like, I just imagine him as, like, this guy in a bathrobe who, he's just, like, a loser, but
I don't think so.
He lost his son, and Jigsaw's like, tough shit, move on, loser.
Yeah, you gotta play this stupid game, and your whole family has to suffer for it. Why? Because they didn't do anything wrong. And the thing is, I guess what Marco said, they thought that woman that they got was the best doctor. Well, she wasn't his doctor. They said that during the movie. It was somebody else. She was just there.
Yeah, Safi, it was the guy from the first movie, remember?
That guy? Oh, yeah, that's
Dr.
right.
Gordon, yes, Safi.
That's right.
Yeah, remember the first movie that we already watched?
Yeah.
Yeah. But the first trap... In the first trap, it's like, there's this naked woman. She's naked, Safi.
I thought they were just pouring cold water, but then I thought, I wonder if that's, what's that stuff called that makes smoke in the smoke machines?
Dry ice.
Dried ice, like a liquid dried ice. You spray it on her.
You can't spray that. Maybe it's liquid nitrogen, like in that Master Chef.
Well, okay. That's probably what it was then.
And with that one, he takes like a million years to decide should he help her, and it's like, number one, it's just so like convenient, like the timing with these traps where he's like, should I do it, should I not do it,
and he waits so long.
Yeah, and it takes like a big amount of the movie. you're just sitting there waiting for him to decide while he thinks about, like, the fucking next show on HBO that's going to be on.
Yeah, I'm like, why? What is he doing? Why would he want these people to suffer? These aren't the people that killed his son.
But she witnessed it, and I guess she didn't help. She didn't testify against the guy. And, but still, he waits until, like, the last second, and it's so stupid because it's clear that he could have saved her. Like, it's clear.
Yeah.
And it would have been so much more interesting if he had saved her. And if she ended up, like, helping him through the whole movie or something, like, that would have been so cool. Instead of, like, this thing where it's just him, and then he saves the second guy, and then that guy immediately dies.
And it was a mistake.
Yeah.
It wasn't even meant to be, I don't believe. I think it was an accident.
And the second trap, and so the first trap was naked women. And, yeah.
It was a naked woman getting sprayed with, I guess, liquid nitrogen because she froze. She was encased in a cold.
The second trap was one of the actor's favorites, you know, the guy who plays Jigsaw, or it might be his all-time favorite, where this the judge is in this vat with rotting pigs being ground up, and then the crap from being ground up sprays on him and just drowns him in the vat, and that was really gross, really, really gross.
But he managed to save him because I guess the judge convinced him. Yeah,
he had to set his son's belongings on fire.
Oh, yeah.
In order to get the key. And I was, again, I swear it's like Jigsaw is retarded. It's like he has to burn his dead son's belongings. Like, this would be the equivalent of, like, well, those girls were a bunch of bitches, but it would be, like, just think of a true crime where, like, there's a young child involved. Let's see.
I don't know.
Safi.
I've never seen that. Whereas they...
Well, you know, just think about it so that we can, you know, go through the scenario of, like...
I don't know what to compare
Which child? Child?
I've never seen
Dead child.
It was a very nice display case that was... It was enclosed and probably
but
locked.
just think of a dead child. Like...
Marco, I don't know what you want me to say. I don't know any movie or any case you're talking about.
A dead child. A dead child of some kind somewhere. I can't think of any right now.
No, I can't either. So let's move on.
Well, maybe there was that one. Well, that one doesn't really count because that was two other children who did it. Or just think about there's that one like cheerleader or whatever, and that guy like stabbed her 20-something times and killed her, and he was also in high school with her. Like, just think about if you went up to that girl's parents and you said, you have to burn all her personal belongings right now. You know, like, nobody would be on board with that. You know, everyone would say, fuck you. You know, that's not like a sign of like moving on or anything. Like, I don't see what that has to do with Jigsaw's motivation or anything. It just seems like a stupid, gimmicky thing of like, ooh, isn't this dark and deep? He has to burn his son's belongings.
Yeah, and then if he successfully burns them, then the little key that he needs to undo the judge will drop down to the ashes and below. And that's what happened.
And he helps him, and then in the third one, it is the actual guy who killed his child. And he is having all of his limbs slowly twisted around, well, which is just disgusting. And it's so funny because it's another scenario where he just stands there and waits for like 1,000,000 years. And it's clear that he could have helped this guy.
And the judge says, you know, if you let him die when you could be helping him, you would be an accomplice to murder.
Yeah. And he's just like...
And he takes forever to make up his mind what to do. He did it with the judge, too.
It's really stupid. It's so formulaic and repetitive. Like, he did that for every trap.
Every single trap, yeah.
And with the last one, the only good thing that I can say is that it was kind of cool how he hacked the trap. I mean, he figured out the solution, you know, like we were talking about with the second one, how there were solutions for the traps and we couldn't... and they didn't show them in the movie. Well, with this one, there's a key, and if you pull on it, it triggers a shotgun. And the trick is that you have to unscrew the key and then take it, and it won't, or it will, but you can take it without getting shot yourself or something. And that was cool. But then it kills the judge
because the judge is trying to. He's trying to help the guy who's being tortured to death. And he got in the way.
Yeah, the judge tries helping by standing there and saying, "What can I do?" That's how the judge tries to help.
Yeah.
So, those are his 3 traps, and the whole time he's being given parts to a gun. The gun clip, and then the bullet, and then at the end the rest of the gun, so that he can do something in one of his final tests or something. And yeah, Safi.
It's never the final test. It's very multidimensional, and it starts initially out a simple thing, I guess, but time is running out for his wife, who has a collar around her that's going to explode and blow her up. And she did some surgery on him.
Yeah, she had to do surgery on Jigsaw,
to relieve the pressure off his brain.
Let's just state that was the worst part of the movie. Because it goes on and on and on. It's just being gross for the sake of being gross.
Yeah, they dragged it out as much as they could.
I hated it. I was like, I'm suffering watching this movie. Safi?
Yeah, well, I didn't care for it either. I feel like it was just torture. It was like we were having to go through torture too watching it.
Yeah, and then she goes through all this work. She keeps him alive long enough.
And he was having a bad time.
Yeah.
She
helped him.
He almost flatlined. And she kept him alive somehow. I'm not sure what she did exactly, but I think I don't know what she did, but she got him to calm down and help him. Oh, they put an oxygen mask on his face, so that helped. And somehow, I don't know how that would help. But anyway, she actually got him out of that. It looked really bad too. And so Amanda was having a fit.
Yeah, and she did not want to let the woman go.
No, why?
Even though she completed her task. And why? Because Amanda's retarded. And Amanda...
she was very sick in the head.
She ruins the movie. Because her character in the second one was so awesome. And I was so excited to see what was going to happen with her. And then, of course, at the end of that movie, she just doesn't even give Adam a game. Or, I mean, what was that guy's name? The Derek or Devin or something, the cop. Sure. She just closes the door and says game over. Like, wow, you're a terrible Jigsaw.
Yeah.
And in this one, she's just terrible the whole movie.
And the problem is Jigsaw knew that she did all that. Or let's say she didn't do what she should have. He knew that she had suffocated Adam with a plastic bag over his face.
Yeah.
And that, I don't know, whatever she did to the cop.
She shot him or something.
Yeah. It was hard to see, but I mean, it's totally dark.
Which is shitty because his character was the best in this movie. In the third movie, like, even though he was in it for like 2 seconds, he was the best character in the movie. He said, I'm not putting up with this bitch. And he goes right up to her and he starts like just slamming her against the wall
And
like
he had smashed his foot so he could get out of the chain, too.
Yeah, that was so
he
cool.
was in tremendous pain.
Yeah, he was really the star of this movie, in my opinion.
But Jigsaw found out or knew what she had done, and he wasn't happy. In fact, he was doing, the whole movie was really a test
of her.
Yeah. For him, for his benefit. It wasn't really totally about that man, because that man didn't do anything except grieve.
Yeah. Well,
grieve over his son.
And so then she actually shoots the doctor.
Yeah, even before
for no reason.
Goes off. Yeah.
Yeah, for no reason whatsoever. Like, just a terrible, terrible character, this Amanda. They really ruined her after the second movie where she stole the show. And so then...
Yeah, she went from up to completely down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the loser gets there, and he shoots Amanda. And he says, fuck you. He's not putting up with it either. And then the next twist is, and this is the part where the movie really fell apart.
Yeah.
Well, I did love the part where he's like, well, you actually just shot that guy's wife, and she didn't know that, and he didn't tell her because...
he was testing her anyway.
That
her
was a
ability
cool...
to contain herself.
And that was a cool idea. It would have been better if it was in a better movie, and maybe the 6th entry in the series and not the 3rd one. And so then there's another twist and another twist, and at the end it really just felt like they were doing all these twists for the sake of doing twists.
And it was really, I have always said whenever I've done reviews that I really like a story with a twist. And even if it's bad, that if it has a twist or two, it makes it better. And this time they overdid it, which is kind of strange. I've never heard of such a thing. Because usually twists are pretty well placed.
Well, they do that in the Saw series. They just do twist, 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 twist over and over.
Well, you will almost lose track of what the story's about.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because, like, it feels like after the second movie where they had that really strong twist that they felt like they had to have twists every time. And I think that was a big mistake in the series. Because it kind of ruins some of the movies that they feel like they have to have these twists.
Yeah, it was, he starts telling Amanda, I've been testing you this whole time. I know what you did with that cop and Adam, and I was going to see what you were going to do this time. And he asked her to let that woman go, get the thing off her neck, and she refused. And then, of course, then she shot her, and he said, you shouldn't have done that because you failed. And then the guy, he had last thing to accomplish. Because apparently, what he didn't know was that his daughter had been grabbed. His young daughter, who's probably like 9 or 10, and she was locked up in some place. And nobody knew where she was except Jigsaw. But before he said that, he said, I'm sick of it. And I don't know exactly what he did, but he cut his neck with this thing. And
with a saw thing, and the guy said, if you forgive me, then I'll help your wife and also give you the location of your daughter. Well, he didn't tell him about the daughter. So, it was just another stupid twist, and it's like, what did that guy do to deserve this treatment? Like, all he did was grieve over his son being dead. Like,
what'd the daughter do? Nothing. He was an innocent victim.
A little girl.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, her father grieved over his son, so he's a bad guy. He doesn't appreciate life.
It's just really asinine, and so that's why the movie is really not good.
Yeah,
there's no redeeming.
Yeah.
There's nothing redeeming about it. So you watch your wife blow up, you find out your daughter is locked up somewhere, and you can't save her.
And it's an ugly movie too. Like,
Yeah.
For some reason, they make the movie look uglier than the second one. Did you notice that?
I don't know. It's pretty gross.
Well, it's like ugly in terms of like the whole movie. Like just, it had an ugly look to it.
I guess. But the thought and all the bad things that happened were ugly enough in and of themselves.
So I hate the movie. It's so disappointing. It's so
well.
It's just
are
the
we
worst.
Rating it? We're not actually giving it a food review, are we?
Yeah, we are.
Oh my god. Well, I give it an F, but let's see what would
I
be
know.
an F
I would
food?
give it a fuck you. Yeah.
How about a can of rotten beans or something? I don't
Ew.
know. I mean, where you open the can of whatever you're eating and it's rotten. Or I remember one time my sister, when she was younger, she was first married and had a child, David, and she opened a can. It was like peas or green beans. It had a mouse in it. That's what it was.
That's
dead
what the one?
movie was. Yes.
Ew.
That's what it was. Yeah, really. So.
Did you eat it?
No.
Why not?
Oh, Marco, for heaven's sakes.
I could have given you
Been
some
getting that. What's that sickness that you get?
Kuharisha.
No, that's diarrhea. I'm talking about that sickness.
Ebola.
No, in the United States they showed this in
The plague.
No, the sickness that you get from having water that's been polluted by poop or something like that, a dead animal.
Oh, AIDS.
No! Are you joking? No. It's, I can't think, it was in that Hell on Wheels. And that can actually infect it, like a whole, like they had the public drinking water had been, what would you call it? It'd been...
Lou Gehrig's disease.
Okay, I give up. Okay, so that's why I give it. What do you give it?
You give it a can with the mouse in it?
A can of food that you want to have with your dinner.
Ew.
Okay? Now, what do you give it?
Nowadays, that would be a really good thing, because then you could go viral on TikTok.
I don't give a F about
right,
TikTok.
guys? Right? You could go viral.
I don't even do TikTok.
You could go viral.
I remember when they were advertising TikTok, they first came out, and I played a solitaire game on Facebook, and I've been playing two of them, two different ones for years and years. And they showed TikTok when it first came out, and they showed some of the videos that people had made. So it's interesting how popular it is now. So Marco, I haven't heard what you reviewed it.
Well, it's tough because on one hand, it's a movie, and on the other hand, it's bad. So I have to think like, I have to give this something really bad because I hate this movie. Like, I forgot how bad this movie was. It's just the worst. It's like, you watch this movie and at the end of it, you're just like completely depleted of any, like, human, I don't know. Like, it's bad. And, I don't know, because I just think, like, I have to come up with something that would be bad, that really, really is bad, and you just forget about how bad it was. And so there was this one holiday. I don't know. All the holidays blend together because the food's so bad. Or no, okay, I know something very recent. You know, we had ribs for 4th of July, and the first set of ribs were pretty good. They were tasty. The sauce was good. For some reason, the second rack of ribs was made the second day. So there was 2 days of cooking for the whole day.
Really?
And on
it was boiling hot outside too.
On the second day, this person put coffee in the sauce. And now I'll explain to you guys. When you put coffee on ribs, you put it in the rub, and it cooks off of the ribs so that you don't get the coffee and the caffeine. Well, that wasn't the case in this instance, and so it was in the sauce, you could tell, and it had all the bad effects, caffeine, with anxiety disorder. You're not supposed to have caffeine, and but that wasn't bad enough, because I just tasted the sauce with sausage, if you guys are wondering, because I didn't eat the ribs, and Safi didn't either, because in the morning I took them out so that I could help put the rub on, and we discovered that there were all these little bugs all over the ribs.
Which
and
I've been having trouble with all summer. I have done all this stuff, like put every single thing in containers that are closed up. I put them in and then that didn't even work. I had to put stuff in plastic bags, then it closed up tightly, then put them in the plastic containers and in the refrigerator, or like the peanut butter. They love peanut butter. So I had to put a plastic bag over the peanut butter and put it in the refrigerator. The other stuff's in the cupboards, but it's like what I said, bagged up in the container, and then the container is tightly sealed. And that's the only way I could keep them out.
These tiny little bugs.
I don't know what they're. I've never seen them. We lived in a farmhouse built in 1865. We had spiders. We would have ants. Centipedes, a snake,
bats,
or two,
raccoons.
We had all this stuff. We never had these little bugs. I've never seen them before. I don't know what they are. They're little. They're like brownish, not dark brown, but a light brown, like a coppery tan brown color.
And at first, I was like, "This is just some crap on the ribs, it's nothing, it's not anything to worry about." But then I looked closer. It was bugs. They were alive. They were crawling on the ribs.
I don't know what he did. I don't know how they got them on there. Unless they came on the stove, or
he had opened up the package to get the other ribs, and he didn't close the package, so the bugs got in the refrigerator.
Well, before. It had to be before. They don't get in the refrigerator. No.
And so, it was really gross. And then Safi said that she saw them, and the person, when they found out, they said, "Who cares?" And he cooked them anyway. And he was the only one who ate them, because we weren't going to eat ribs with bugs on them.
No.
And so
there were plenty of sides.
Well, and I had sausage. That was the only way that it was tolerable.
Yeah.
And it was just so gross, and it was so disappointing that after the first night, we couldn't have ribs the second night because there were bugs. Like, that was so disappointing.
Yeah.
Complete disappointment after... Just like this movie was very disappointing after Saw 2, which I would consider like a perfect horror movie.
The what?
A perfect horror movie.
Oh, perfect horror movie. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, the second... to me, that's really odd. How do you go from best to worst in a movie?
If you have trouble...
Said it was the same writers, too.
Yeah,
I thought, well, maybe it's different writers. That would at least, make sense to me.
They might have just had trouble writing, like, another sequel, and they just... Because they said something about, like, they were still writing... Like, even on the last day of shooting, they were scribbling, writing on a napkin. So, like, yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
So, if you've seen this movie, let us know what you thought about it.
Oh, people love it. This is, like, considered to be a great movie by the Saw fans. I hate it.
And it stinks.
I'm going to predict it's the worst of the series, because I
don't know.
No matter how bad others in the series can be, they can't be as disappointing as this to me.
Yeah.
Because this was the ultimate disappointment.
Okay. So, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and become one of our subscribers so you can share what your thoughts are about this movie and other horror movies. It's like in the Saw series, for example, 1, 2, and 3. Because the next one we will watch will be 4. And
unrated.
Oh boy. Oh joy. And we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.